man, was that good or what?
That might have been one of our best webinars. I say it every time, but I mean,
I know,
that was fire.
Dude, that was so fucking good. Oh my God. That was
60 people too.
Dude, we got extra people in there. We get massive value. We learned a lot. This dude's, shining. I love this guy's style, man. I knew he was going to kill it, but man, he exceeded my expectations, and that was pretty hard.
No, when I met him down at the stadium, I was like, dude, this is a cool dude, very well spoken, knows his shit on the construction side, on the investment side, understands the business side. Dude owns fucking 6 gyms across Southern California. Like, you don't just stumble into that without knowing, something about being an entrepreneur, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm going to grab some dinner right now. Let's get this one recorded. I'm super excited to get this one launched because this was fire. Let's go.
What's up, deal makers? We made it to Ask Alex number 40. And this week we were talking with Mr. ADU himself. Alex, what were your biggest takeaways from our guy, Eric?
Eric just lit up this webinar. I can't wait to rewatch it myself because I learned a lot. I mean, he talked about junior ADUs. He talked about garage conversions. He talked about ADUs. He talked about the cost, contractors, all of it. You guys got to tune in this one. I swear, this was one of my favorite webinars of all time. What's up, my deal makers? Aloha from Mexico. What's up, my man, Will?
What's up, Alex? Good to see you, brother. Alex, in the meantime, let us know a little bit more, like what's going on in your life. Obviously, if you guys haven't been following Alex's Instagram, he got a haircut, a pull-up haircut service, the fresh cut down there in Mexico. So he's enjoying it. But tell us a little bit, man, like what's going on with the new place?
Well, yeah, man. So I'm down here in Guadalajara. I came here about 5 weeks ago, and I stayed at this cool Airbnb. And frankly, I just fell in love with it. I wanted to know what it would cost to actually have a place here permanently because, it had so many amenities. It was located in very centralized, basically like very close to like the Beverly Hills of, or call it the Studio City or the West LA, those type of areas of Guadalajara. And Sure enough, man, I was like, wow, I was blown away. And I asked them what I needed to do. And one thing led to another, and they were able to approve me. My parents were down here. I wasn't actually here where they were here. And they came check it out and gave me like green light. They're like, oh man, this looks like a good investment. I mean, I didn't buy it. It is a lease, but I'll tell you guys, since you guys are in the tribe here, it's basically $1,200 a month for all in for this penthouse apartment in central, fantastic location, and has just a billion amenities like co-working space in the building, pool on like the 22nd floor, very intricate, amazing rooftop terrace, also a gym. It's just one of those places that I'm gonna be down here trying to we're working on growing our virtual assistant team because it's already been paying a lot of fruits for us, and I don't see that changing at all. So I'd like to, I've already got a couple of people that are interested in interviewing with us, referrals through family and friends. So already starting to, network and understand I guess you would say the labor pool, the talent pool down here a little bit more closely. And I was doing that. And then I was in LA for a couple of days. So I'm glad I got to, hang out with you, Will. We're going to go look at that property over in Laverne that we're working on right now. That's looking positive. Could be our next deal. And then we got to see my family. Got to hang out with my twin brother. So it's been cool. But I was in Maui until about Friday night of last week. And then I came over to LA, and now I'm down in Guadalajara till Saturday. So things are rocking and rolling, man. I'm excited about this webinar though, guys, because Eric, I know for a fact, is going to give you guys a ton of value. This guy is a beast. He is working on ADUs, a lot of them in LA. I think it's something that's so relevant right now in the conversation. I selfishly wanted to interview him so that I can answer the questions that I have as an investor, but I know you guys are going to have a lot of questions as well. So I'm ready to jump it right in, man. Let me know if we can get this thing rocking and rolling. I'm excited.
Yeah, you guys, as always, just a couple quick housekeeping things. I am going to share the Facebook group. I know a lot of you guys are repeat attendees, but if there's anybody new this week that's checking this out, we have a Facebook group you can connect with as well. And then also we wanted to let you guys know that, we did a meetup the last time Alex was in town here, and we're definitely going to do another one here next time he is in town. That Facebook group is usually where we do the announcements for most of those meetups and those kind of get-togethers. So make sure you do tune in and connect on the Facebook group. That's again where we do most of our announcements for our meetups and things like that when Alex is down here in town. Alex, that was one of the funnest things. I know we got to do that at the house that we have out in La Quinta, and we'll probably do another one, again, the next time that Alex is in town, right?
Yeah, let's do it. I mean, we got to buy another deal so we can do another meetup at one of our new flips or new birds. Let's go.
Yeah, we'll do a Beverly Hills house. No, I'm just kidding. So guys, what we'll do is as always, go ahead and use that Q&A feature down there if you have any questions. Alex, if you don't mind making me the host here real quick, what we'll do is we'll go ahead and get our special guest in for the week. And this week, guys, as Alex mentioned, we're bringing in Eric. Eric is not only doing investment deals, but he's also a full-time construction manager. So he manages not a manager, but a construction company owner. So he manages his team, his building that he does. He does a lot of new builds and ADU builds. And so he is active in both sides of that realm. And he'll kind of dive into that a little bit more and how that works for him. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get on our special guest today, Mr. Eric Escobar, and get things rolling.
We're just gonna call him Mr. ADU now.
Mr. ADU, there you
go.
go.
That's it. That's his new name.
What is up, guys?
What's up, Eric?
How are you guys?
Hey, Eric, how's it going, man? Good to see you.
Oh, it's the guy from TikTok.
From TikTok. I'll tell you guys about that story right now.
I love it.
Yeah.
So Eric, again, we kind of give you a quick introduction, but we'd love to kind of hear it from you. If you don't mind, just kind of giving us a rundown of kind of like, how did you get started on investing? What's your story, right?
Cool, man. So we've been in construction for a very long time with my dad. That's kind of like, like every Mexican family, is like construction right away is number one thing to go to, right? So Pops has been in the game for a while, and I ventured off, opened up a few gyms, and we were making money. We opened up a few gyms, San Diego, Long Beach, LA, just all over the place. And as you guys know, COVID made gyms go a little sideways, right? So from before that, I was super excited about being in construction. I would go to all the sites. It's something that's been in the family for a long time. And when this COVID deal happened, that's like, I always said, I'm going to invest in properties. I'm going to invest in properties. I'm going to invest in properties. And I never did it, guys. And I don't know if you guys ever felt like that. I don't know what stage everybody's at. And after I got my first one, I just started getting deals coming from just word of mouth, not even like through a wholesaler or anything. They just started coming in, and it all started from one cold call, guys. One simple cold call. So that's basically it. Now we're doing construction ADUs for since we've always been in construction, doing the ADU projects for people and doing them for ourselves as well.
Love it. And humble beginnings, right? Like you said, family run business and again, I don't know if you guys knew this or not, but when I met up with Eric, we kind of talked about this, but he owns a couple gyms. So tell us a little more about that.
Yeah, dude. So the gyms, they're still there. That's what feeds me daily, to cover the bills. Construction gives me the money to invest, which is what we were talking a little offline earlier with Alex. Like, dude, everybody's like, hey, how could I invest? You got to make money, man, at the end of the day. So at the time, I knew the gyms were going to be profitable for a bit. I transitioned as quick as I could. And I started promoting, because I said, okay, what I'm doing with the gym space, I know I could do that for the construction because I know construction. So I just said, okay, let me switch it. And it always leads to marketing and sales like anything else. So if you're not on social media, you should be, guys.
Yeah. I think it's important to highlight that Eric is, just like with every successful entrepreneur, is that you have to make adjustments. Like the game is being played daily, and then you're seeing what's happening, and he knew he was not going to make money with the gyms. So he's like, well, I can make money with this. It's relevant. It's something I already know. Let me go ahead and pivot. I think people have a challenge with that, with pivoting, changing their mind a little bit. It's okay to change your mind when you have new information. And so you can't sit there and just get stuck. But I think that's great that you were able to just recognize that. I had a very similar kind of, not similar as far as the business, but I was like down for a couple of weeks when COVID hit, and I was like, wait a minute, people are still going to need to buy houses. They still need to sell houses. There's been pandemics, maybe not in my lifetime, but there's been pandemics in the world. Like, I need to still take action. So I love that you did that, man. You just kept moving forward.
Yeah, dude. And I think that's the big thing. It's always, things are going to happen to us, whether it's to you or any of us. It's how do we pivot from that? How do we take action to keep moving forward, guys? So I think that's key. in any aspect of your life. It's just keep moving.
Yeah, definitely.
And Alex, we've talked about that before, when we kind of break down the business systems and how, you kind of have that, big overbranching, look of the business. And, that's constantly what we talk about, right? Is business is putting out fires and how quickly can you get back on track? So, we're always talking about how we pivot when we have new information and when new information presented itself. But, echoing Alex's point, I think it was incredible that you were able to take your existing skills and kind of say, hey, let's transition this into something that this can also apply to.
Yeah, and to be real, it's scary. It's a little scary. Like, hey, what I was working on doesn't work anymore. Or it's not the same. So then you're like, oh damn, you're discouraged or concerned about it. But it just, that's life. Life is about change and continue to adapt. Like, I never thought I'd live in Hawaii, but it happened, and then I moved forward. And it wasn't the easiest decision in the world. It was, on the surface, but there was a lot more than that. So yeah, I think it's just moving forward no matter what. I mean, there'll be some good things, some good times, bad times. But yeah, I know we have a bunch of questions lined up for Eric though. So let's jump in, right, Will?
Yeah, let's jump into some questions. Before we do, guys, I just want to drop a quick poll for you guys. Just wanted to see, I know we have a lot of investors here in the room, about 55, 60 people in here right now. So just love to hear from you guys. And the poll is out there right now. Who would have interest in buying a property using an ADU in some form or way to boost the value of that property, boost the income that the net operating income you can make for that property, or is that something that you're maybe still thinking about, or is that just something that is no way would I move forward if it involved an ADU? Just want to get a kind of an idea from the room. And then in the meantime, yeah, let's dive into some questions, guys. We are talking about ADUs. For those of you that don't know, that's an accessory dwelling unit. And Mr. ADU, Eric Escobar, is on the call today. So we are, very privileged to get to ask him some questions. So if you guys in the audience do have any questions, feel free to use the Q&A button down there at the bottom. And if it's something to do with ADUs, construction, building, things like that, Eric is going to try and answer some of those questions for us live here on the call as well. First thing I'd love to know, Eric, and I think it's probably a question that, comes up pretty often when you're, dealing with, people that are talking about investing with ADUs, is how do you determine the ARV of an ADU? Like, how do you get to that?
Great question.
Great point, man, and good question. It comes down to, and this is what I tell, because I get that DM all the time. Hey, how do you determine it? How do you determine it? And this is what I always answer. It's like, what's your end goal with your ADU? Because if it's for cash flow, you're gonna keep it forever. Like, yeah, they'll at least value what it costs for construction, right? Let's say, just for example. But if you're trying to do a flip and add an ADU in it, you have to see the comps and see what's around. Because if there's no comps, it's going to be very hard to get that value that you're trying to get for the ADU and the time it's going to take, the holding costs, all that good stuff. So it's really, what's your end game when it comes to your ADU?
And when Alex, just still on mute.
Yeah, okay. So what if an investor or investor asks you like, hey, I want to do this ADU, but like there's not that many comps, but I'm getting a good deal. What do you advise them to do then?
I say just, hey man, like I won't advise them because you're the investor at the end of the day, right? But yeah. I'm saying like, hey, make sure if it doesn't pan out this way, you still got the other way to go. Like, what are you trying to do? Keep it or flip it, right? And they're like, hey, I'm gonna try to flip it. Well, if you got a great deal, and hey, the market's hot right now, so people will buy shit right now, right? For a crazy amount of crazy amount of dollars, right? But let's just say when the market cools down, is it worth it? It's really up to the investor. If you got a sick deal, why not, dude?
Awesome. And we've talked about that too, Alex, right? Like knowing your exit strategy and knowing, hey, if you go in just with one exit in mind and that exit doesn't work out, then that's going to be a problem. So I like what you're saying there, Eric, is hey, know which way you're going. Know your exit strategy. If you're flipping it, have comps. And if there aren't comps, be willing to hold it because you got a good enough deal that you can hold it, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Huge. So real quick, guys, I do just want to share the poll results just so that everybody can get an idea here. So I'm going to go ahead and share these for everybody in the room. We had a pretty overwhelming amount, about 86% of the audience say that they are very interested in investing in ADUs. About 14% of the audience, that was the rest of the group, said they're still thinking about it. So cool thing for us today, guys, is everybody in attendance obviously saw the flyer and saw that we have Eric coming out, and so should be a really good opportunity for you guys. And I see some questions already pouring in, so we'll continue kind of rolling through here. Eric, next question that comes up is, okay, so ARV, now that I kind of have that and I know my exit strategy, what is the average cost of building an ADU?
Got it. So that's another question that comes all the time. So I tell them, hey, number one, you got to get the architect and the engineer going, right? Because every ADU is different. Every single one. Like, we haven't done one that's exactly the replica. So it's like, is it a garage conversion? Are you doing a ground up ADU? Like, you have to determine square footage of an ADU as well. How far your sewer line is, because a lot of people think as simple as like, oh, I could just connect to the main sewer line from the house. No, you got to go all the way to the front yard to connect. So that's a lot of labor, guys. So, and just know the dude ain't working for $100 a day anymore. It just doesn't happen anymore. Like, labor's through the roof, guys. So everybody's like, oh, lumber is down, so we're good now. We could buy more properties with tighter margins. Well, no, because the number one most expensive thing in all the construction business is the labor. So just keep that in mind, guys. But on average, a garage conversion, you're like, I know a lot of people could say they could do it for 60 grand, 70 grand. We're at around 100 grand mark. That's where we're at.
And I like how you broke that down, right? Because it's always something, right? It's labor, it's cost. Alex, we see this in our business too, right? Delays, things are happening because of the strain on the market. And you mentioned it, like, labor's got to be the most expensive part. We just looked at a deal, $33K labor, and we estimate maybe $14K in material. So labor is definitely by far the most.
Yeah. What would you say, Eric, the percentages of that 100,000 going to the labor and the materials, and then the permitting and the architect?
So for us, like, full transparency, guys, we're 20% profit. So we're taking 20 grand, right? That's for sure off the top. And then off of each guy on labor, we take a percentage too, right? Because they're working for you, so you got to make some money off of that, right? And then I would say it's kind of what you have, Will, kind of like that, like a 2-to-1 deal, So if you're putting 33 grand in labor, that's the material part.
And yeah, I mean, we're in the same business, right, Alex? We don't take on deals unless we make a 30% profit margin is usually our get in the door. So I think, that's totally fair. You have to operate a business. And like you said, this business is how you're able to, run the other portions of your investment. So
yeah, I absolutely love that you made that highlight right from the beginning. Like, we have to make money. If we don't make money, then we don't have a business. Now you're not going to be at 50% profit margins. Some businesses do have that, but you have to operate profitably. Otherwise, you can't continue doing business and continue to do more and more deals and to add value. You're adding. Think about it. He puts $100,000. Someone puts $100,000 for an ADU. 20,000 go into Eric's pocket and his team and everybody, right? How much value did they create for that neighborhood, for that property owner? A lot more than 20 grand, that's for sure. So, it's a win-win. And that's why I love real estate deal making so much, because I see this is the only business that I've been in, and I've been in a lot of businesses that I feel like you could truly create win-win deals. And that's whether it's an ADU, flip, ADU, buy and hold, or, fix and flip, or, wholesale deal. I mean, you really have the opportunity to do win-win deals where everybody wins and is happy. So yeah, I just want to also just kind of highlight that point too.
To that, I just think that, and I told you guys, I have the gym, I own a restaurant, something we didn't cover. And the margins are just so much bigger, guys, that you could actually create a win-win. Nobody feels robbed unless you're being shady. But other than that, like, you could truly create these win-win situations. And in the gym, the margins are tighter. Restaurants, I won't even say, those are really tight, guys. So real estate, like, the margins, if you find the right deal, and you guys know this, everything starts with finding a deal, you could create real win-win situations for everybody.
Yep.
And I know we'll talk about a couple of your crazy deals here down the line, but before we do, Eric, I think it's pretty relevant here because you mentioned, depends on what kind of ADU you're doing, right? So what kind of different ADUs are there, right? Like, there's junior ADUs, there's conversions. Kind of break down the most popular ADUs that you're seeing in your construction business right now that clients are seeking out?
Got it. So for instance, like what most homeowners are doing right now, because they're getting the mortgages, they're doing the junior ADU, which is part of the house. Say you have a 2,000 square foot house, right? For example, or 1,800. You're gonna take 500 square feet of that and convert that into like a little studio or one bedroom. Most of the junior ADUs are one bedroom, one bathroom, right? That's very popular, but it has to be part of the existing footprint. That's for the junior ADU, and you have to live in it. I don't know how they're going to check that, but that's what it says. You have to live in the property, right? You guys could all figure it out. An ADU garage conversion, that's literally what it is. You're converting the garage. Or if you want to keep the garage, there's a few options. If you want to keep your garage and you still want to build, you could build up. Some cities allow it, some don't, right? So LA City allows it. Downey, where I'm at, they don't allow it. So that's one option. You convert your garage, or you could actually build a whole different unit in the back, like ground up. So there's a few options that you could work with.
Awesome. I love it. That there's different options, you guys, but it depends on the property. And that's why you need people like an Eric, like somebody that is knowledgeable on that, because you might have a deal in front of you and you don't even know because you don't have the right people in front of you to help you analyze and get you the information you need on what's allowable. You could be sitting on a home run deal and not even know it because you just don't have the right contacts or the right information. So I want to know something, which is, what's like your most creative or most difficult deal that you want to share with the tribe here? Because I know you've done a lot. So what can you share as far as like just those difficult or creative deals that turned out pretty well?
So the creative one, and we were talking earlier offline about this, the creative one, guys, and I know people say, man, but you found it, you randomly found it. And it's like, this is what I was telling Alex, like, you got to believe in this shit. Like, you guys really got to believe that it's possible. And if you say it's possible, it's going to happen, guys. Because I always wanted to do it, but I never actually believed in it until one day it just fucking switched on me. Like, dude, it was like flight or fight. I had to do something, right? So I was like, cool. Then I 100% believed because I had no other choice than to believe, right? So let's go back to the deal. This investor offers $850 for a duplex, right? He goes to the city. He finds out that unit in the back isn't legal. Is not legal. It's not legal at all. So he's out the deal. Homeowners are like just sad, dude. So I hit up the homeowners. I'm like, hey man, so I see you're gonna probably put it at 625 somewhere around there. Let's take off the if you would have a realtor, right? Take off 6%, and we came to around 550, right? It was 560, I think. So we're at 560. I said, cool. It's a 12,000 square foot lot, guys, in Downey. So it's a big lot. I said, worst case scenario, I could still build a big ADU in the back. I could rent that sucker out. You see, I already knew that was my end place, renting the sucker out for me, right? Everybody's like, hey, I'm gonna flip. It's really up to you guys. There's no wrong way to do it, just so you guys know. So then I'm going to the city for another property I have in Downey. And I go to the city just randomly, you know, like going to go see the city planner. And he's like, hey, dude, this is the power of social media, guys. Hey, dude, you're the guy from TikTok. And I was like, oh, what's up, man? Like, so I'm going to go ask him a question, and he's asking me a question about his property, about his garage conversion. And I'm like, cool, let me help this guy out. Literally just come from a place of service, trying to help the guy out, right? So I'm helping him out. And then after I was like, what are you coming here for? So I asked him about the first property, and then I asked him about the second property that I was going to just build the ADU. And I said, hey, there's this back unit that's not legal. Downey became Downey in 1955, 54, something like that. That house was built in 1940s. So according to the city, it's not legal, right? So the city says it's not legal no matter what. So city planner was like, dude, I can legalize that for you. So he said, go to LA County, call them and ask them, and I guarantee you they have the plans for it, because every single property in the neighborhood is a duplex, right? I call, yeah, we got them. Take them over to the guy, cool, it's a legal duplex, don't worry about it. So we'll change it in the system. On title of the duplex, but I bought it as a single family residence. So it instantly went up 300K in equity without doing a damn thing to it, dude. And people will say it's a unicorn. This has happened twice to me, guys. Similar situation. So,
hey, you're that guy from TikTok, aren't you?
Wow, dude. I love it.
Huge.
So guys, and here's the thing. You guys probably think I'm slamming on TikTok. I got 2,800 followers on TikTok. It's not a lot. I have 5,500. Alex got way more followers than me on Instagram. But I post content every single freaking day, if not close to it, because my mentor is like, dude, you keep posting that, you're gonna be nonstop with business. And it truly has happened that way. Like every time I post, I get like 3 to 4 leads of construction, of 100K deals, 200K deals, 300K new construction. Hey, here's the plans. Please give me a bid. I know you're so busy, but please give me a bid. So if you guys do social media, guys, I guarantee you, whatever you guys are trying to do is going to blow up for you guys.
I have a question about that real quick, Eric. We'll unpack that in a minute, but I want to dovetail off of that. So when did you start going hard at the social media? When you first had done your first couple of deals, or after? Like, when did you just, I know you started mentoring a little bit under Thatch, which we all love. When did that happen? Because, I love your feed and you're just always giving massive value. I've learned a lot from watching you.
I got a property and I was like, oh shit, the script freaking works. Fuck yeah, because in the gym space, you're always like marketing and selling. You're always doing sales calls. So I kind of transitioned that sales to the script on the phone where I got my property, right? So I'm like, damn, this shit works. I've never spoken to the motherfucker before in my life. He called me. He's like, hey, bro, I see you signed up to my program. And I was like, yeah, cool. He's like, all right, cool. I'll be there this afternoon to your house. I saw you, we started talking that I got a deal with his script. He's like, all right, I'll be there. He happened to be in LA. He came through in his Rolls Royce, showed up to the fixer. He's like, bro, who's doing your construction? Oh, it's me and my pops and our construction company. He's like, cool, you got to keep posting videos about this shit. So it was after I got the damn deal. It wasn't even before, bro. It was after the deal.
Yeah, definitely. No, but going back, guys, let me unpack that real quick. I mean, number one, he's taking action. Number two, he's sharing it. Number three, he's giving himself opportunity by going to the city, getting information, making offers, being in the game. And then people seem to think, oh, I wanted these home run deals. Like, my experience has been, I don't know about you, Eric, the more you're in the game, the more you're likely to get a home run. But you won't ever get that home run if you're just trying to go in from the beginning and try to get these monster deals. But you were able to create that and doing the due diligence and going on that. I mean, I just think that's an incredible example of taking the action and then using social media, and now he's like you said, you guys heard that. His business is blowing up in a matter of a couple of years because he's now, and you don't need thousands of followers, but they're quality over quantity for sure. I mean, we want quantity, but you have dedicated followers, people that you're really providing value for. They're going to find a way to help you out, and you're going to be able to help them out because you're already doing it. Yeah, this is awesome, dude.
It works, dude.
And the fifth thing I want to point out there real quick, Eric, you had 4 killer points there, Alex, but the fifth one, and you said this, Eric, is you post from a place of service. And that's one thing that I really love about your posts, Eric, is you're always posting from a place of service, from a place of education. Like when you watch your content, it's like, hey guys, I'm here live on a site. I wanted to show you something I just found out today. Now you learn this through me. So it's relatable content that people want to follow. And when they see that, they're like, hey dude, this is a guy that's sharing some secrets right now. If he's willing to share that, I'm sure he's going to be a pretty straightforward dude to do business with. Right. So because it comes from that place of service, it's very noticeable as well. And
definitely.
That.
Thank you for adding that, Will, for sure. Well, I have another question because I feel like there's a lot of myths out there, or I've noticed that there's, I get information from one source and this other source says something else, or just kind of there's some conflicting information. Because keep in mind, you guys, at least with Southern California, there's a lot of different cities, a lot of different municipalities, and where this real estate is being kind of basically controlled. And so I want to know from you, from your perspective, what's the most common like misconception or myth that people have about these ADUs and these second units?
Got it. So growing up in Linwood, and Alex, you have a similar background, you grew up in the hood and stuff, right? And people think like back in the days, there was ADUs before they even existed. They were just illegal ADUs, right? And they think it's just putting up some drywall, insulation, boom, we're done, put a little bathroom and they're ready to go. Like there's so much like actual things that you have to do to make it a legal ADU, as far as plans, as far as running the plumbing all the way out, shear walls to make it like livable, right? So you have to break the stucco of the existing structure to put in the shear walls, right? So get rid of the garage door. So there's a lot of money that goes into this, right? 100K, like people come to me thinking that it's gonna be like 30 grand, 20 grand. And I'm just like, dude, like how? And they're like, well, that's what I thought it runs. So there's a misconception of how much it actually costs. And I just think all around in construction, people think that it's like, it's very cheap. And then you guys know, like, if you budget this much, it always tends to go up a little higher. Rarely do you guys hit budget, but it happens.
But Eric, I already have electrical run through one little wire out to the garage. You mean that isn't enough to power the whole garage ADU?
And the mini
you have to do all that kind of stuff, right? It gets expensive. It's not cheap. You mentioned it earlier, right? Costs go up, and this is a labor intensive project when you're converting a garage, something that was used for storing cars, into something that's going to now house humans, right? It needs a lot of work. I see Roger said just use the extension cord for electrical, right? So that won't work on a legalized ADU, unfortunately, right?
And here's the cool thing, guys, that when you do, you're going to get some value from it, right? Like the value of the property is going to go up, right? If you do it illegally, I have a client that did it illegally. She got caught by the city, literally did it 2 years ago. She had to tear the whole damn thing down. Right? That's number one. You have to tear it down. 2, you're not getting the actual value of like the actual living space you're putting on the property because it's illegal. So the city never knows about it. Nobody knows about it. It's not on record. So you just literally threw 80 grand down the drain because you're trying to save money.
Yeah.
So keep that in mind, guys. So definitely go legal.
I like how you pointed that out too, because, when we kind of talk about using permits and legalizing things, right? It works a little bit better on the lower priced homes, right? Because somebody buying a lower priced home is going to go, well, hey, I have 500 extra bonus square feet that I didn't pay for, that's going to be a benefit for me. Whereas somebody who's buying a $1.5 million, income producing asset, they're going to say, hey, I want to see everything done to the books on that property. I want to see the permits pulled. I want to make sure that this is on record, right? Because this is a big investment that somebody's making. So
yeah, I have a random question too that kind of just came to mind is, what do you foresee, Eric, as kind of like the future of ADUs? I mean, I'm sure you put a lot of thought into that as far as like, are more cities going to adopt this and streamline the process, make it easier? What have you thought about that? Can you share any of your kind of thoughts on that?
I think housing is going to get more difficult. That's number one. If you guys saw or are aware of this law, the SB 9, I don't know if you guys heard of it.
Yes.
Like, dude, they're pushing for more units. So I think ADUs are only going to go high. Like, it's going to actually be considered, because in Seattle, right, we know that you can actually sell an ADU separately. So you could sell it for $5.
Yeah, well, in Hawaii, you could do the same thing. It's called an ohana. But you could do the same thing. Yeah, it's literally like you build an AU and then you just like, now you sell it separately. And it's like, they have some common areas a little bit, but it is separate. You could sell it. I haven't really seen that in LA though. You're saying that you think that's going to happen the same thing? I'm
thinking it's coming, dude. And just because all these, the homelessness, I know a lot of people are like, hey, that's not going to solve it, but there's a shortage. Obviously, we all know that everywhere, right? So if there's a shortage, I think they're going to make these things more flexible. I know LA City's streamlining it, so you could have pre-approved plans already for ADUs. All you have to do is call the architect, just the ones that are on the site, and you could actually use those plans the next day. So
what about the pre-built ones that people are talking about? You could just like literally, okay, if it's streamlined and you got the pre-built, can I have an ADU in 3 months in LA?
Yeah, so those, the thing is you have to submit plans the same way, but now you can't use a pre-built ADU plans that they have because that's custom built, right? Okay. So now you have those modular homes that you have to put the foundation, you still have to put the plumbing, and then you just drop that guy in, right? Cost-wise, we're looking at the same, more or less. You're not looking at like you're saving anything crazy.
All right, well, if you have a business, kind of strategy in mind, I'll get the capital and we'll blow the shit up. You ready? Let's go.
Let's do it.
All right.
And I agree. I mean, like with housing just where it is, I see Mark is chiming in the chat that Pomona is doing this stuff as well. There definitely is a housing crunch right now in Los Angeles, and the more housing you can create, the more opportunity that there is to kind of combat that. So I'm excited to kind of see where that continues to go. One more kind of question I wanted to dive into, and we kind of touched on a little bit earlier, Eric, is you are an incredible business entrepreneur, and you're somebody that's able to balance the investments and the construction side of your business, the gym side of your business, the restaurants. Can you kind of dive into, a little bit about your mindset and just how and why you structure your, business like that. I know you use your business to fund the investment. So if you don't mind just kind of diving into your mindset and that structure a little bit and how you break that down.
Absolutely, guys. So one thing I knew and that I always see over and over again, people, I'm sure you get these DMs, Alex, are like, hey, I got $5,000. Could I invest? Like, how could I invest? And the true reality, guys, you guys all know this, like, you need money to invest, right? So what I see is like, okay, I have little streamlines coming in from the gym, from the restaurant, from the construction business. These are all things that are feeding the investment, right? So you're making the money now to feed the investments. Yeah, to throw it over the other side. So that's my whole thing. I have my wife on board. I have my dad on board, my brother on board. So everybody's attacking the same thing, right? My brother's a doctor. He's like, dude, I just want to, like, I'm going to give you the money. His wife's a doctor. I'm going to give you the money. Let's just fund this shit. Because everybody sees the power of real estate. Like my dad's house in freaking Linwood, he bought it like 20 years ago for $100K. A house in Linwood that's right next to Compton, guys. That's going for $550 right now. So the power of real estate is just like, it's phenomenal. So everybody's like, oh shit, how come we haven't been doing this beforehand? And the way I see it, and I know probably Alex is like, you want to be that person in your life and in everybody's life that's going to be the trajectory for generations to come. That's at least the way I see it, And you could change that for yourself and then your kids and their kids, dude.
The more money you make, more money you have, the more you can help other people around you that you care and love about. So I love you saying that, like, you have to be able to make money. So many people fall in love with this passive income, like kind of theory or thought or just a way of thinking. And I love how you have a highlighting that. You're saying like, hey guys, we have to make money to be able to invest. Like if you're just rubbing two nickels together, you got a couple $1,000 or $10,000. Hey, that's great. But you got to be able to invest a good amount of money consistently over time. And that's why my desire has been like, I want to make a lot of money, live lean, and invest a lot more, because I'm not interested personally in buying a house like every 2-3 years. I don't want to do that. I want to make a lot, invest a lot, and that way, that's just my business model. But it is for that, you said, so that way I'll have the assets, and then I can decide what I want to do. Because the more money you make, the more opportunities that you have if you're investing it well. But if you're not even making that much money, and then you don't have that much time, you don't have that much money, how do you expect to live off this passive income? It's just not going to happen. So I think that being realistic about that and telling people and say, hey, you got to go out there and hustle. You got to go out there and make some coin, make some, some bucks. It's funny. My old mentor used to say, he'd make like 100,000 on a deal. And he'd be like, yeah, we made a couple bucks. And he was fucking kind of serious. I was just like, but $100,000 profit on a deal is a couple bucks to some people. Like, change your mind, you guys. Like $1 million is a couple bucks to some people. I want to have that mindset. Let's go.
And I love how you mentioned too, like, getting the family on board, right? And it's a family business now because your dad and you run the construction side of things. You have your brother, your mom, your wife on board. And so it's, hey, everybody knows when there's a deal, it needs to get funded because they know what that can do for them, for your life, for their next family, the next generation's life. Like it's limitless, right? So
hey, I have a questions about that, because I think there's some people on this call, Eric, that maybe have a spouse, maybe have a brother, maybe have someone that might be on the fence, or maybe they're a little bit cynical about the situation. Real estate, oh, it's gonna go down. Like, how did that work out for you? Did you like get wife on board first after the first deal, or was there like a domino effect with your family members? Tell us a little bit about that.
No, dude. The way it happens, and this is the way anything happens. This is the way Will contacted me. This is the way you've contacted me. It's being freaking real and delivering on what you say you're gonna deliver. This is the problem with, I see a lot of contractors. They say something and they deliver some other bullshit, and then they wonder why they have no work, dude. Like, I have too much work. Like, literally, I'll try to pick up a hammer, and my dad. This is how much my dad's on board with this. I'll pick up a hammer, like, dude, we're short staffed, whatever, right? If we happen to be, or I shovel, like, hey, stop that. Go do a video instead. That's how invested my dad is into this with me.
Wow.
So he'll be like, stop that. Go do a video. My brother, I don't know if you guys saw one that I did coming out of a porta potty. That was his idea. Hey, come out of a porta potty. So we make this shit fun for us. You get me? So it's like we're doing the shit while we're working. So I just think it's just being true to yourself, and when you say something, deliver on it, dude. That's the biggest thing, and you don't have to have anybody buy in.
Yeah, 100%. I think Eric is very relatable, and I'm relatable. People see me like, hey, and I think people when you deal with these gurus, the Grant Cardones, all that great stuff, but people can't relate to those people as much. And when you have someone there coming out of a porta potty, and be like, yo, bro, like, let's go, let's do this. Like, I could do that as well. I love it, man. I love it. Porta potty.
Bro, we did the video coming out of a fucking porta potty. I'm buckling up my fucking pants.
The porta potty viral video. Let's go.
So guys, I just shared Alex's and Eric's Instagrams. Again, if you're not following these guys, make sure you check them out because they have some incredible content that they're posting on there, and it's it's real stuff. Like Eric said, it's Alex always mentions this. He's trying to post for his earlier self. Like, what are some things that he would have really wanted to know when he first started investing. So I know we got a bunch of questions coming in on the Q&A box. Let's see if we can start banging some of these out. And one of these was going to be our next question for you anyway, coming in from Ulysses. How big is your business right now, Eric? Like, are you working just in Cali, just in SoCal? How many deals are you currently working on right now?
Okay, so two personally that we own, two of ours, 6 in the LA area, and then we have 3 others in like architectural planning. But like, how big, how far do I go? I try to keep it tight, man. Like, I really try not to go out. We have one in Van Nuys. The Van Nuys deal happened during COVID, so it was quick to get there. Now it's like to come back and forth. It takes a while. It takes an hour and a half, 2 hours, sometimes in traffic. So that kills the morale of the team and not only myself. So we try to just keep it as tight as possible in our general area.
I love that. We do it too. We call it our box, right? Our niche, right? That's where we know the niches, right? So you just mentioned how LA County allows it, but your hometown Downey doesn't. You just don't know that the further and further you go outside of that box. So I love that, you're using that same kind of strategy there. So great question from Ulysses. He's one of our Rockstar tribe members. Amari, another rock star, has a great question here that I know you kind of already answered a little bit, which is, what if you convert a garage or something without plans, right? And I know for you said that's just a no-go, right? It's not even worth it because you're not getting the value, right?
So you're not getting, like, here's another thing that I don't think a lot of people talk about. You're renting out something illegal. If something happens to that person and it doesn't have a livable actual, like, hey, somebody could live here, what is it called, Alex?
Certificates of occupancy. Yeah.
Dude, you're in deep legal shit.
Like, hey, they were walking and fell on that uneven foundation and hurt themselves. Who's liable, right?
You will lose that house. Not only the ADU, you will lose that house.
Yeah, and you're in a tenant-friendly state. I mean, you have a lot of things going, against you in that situation. I'm also with you on that. We've done deals where there was like a kind of illegal unit, and we just like kind of tore out the bathroom. We just kind of, hey, let the new homeowner deal with it because we're not going to go through that. That's not our business model. But yeah, it definitely is something that it's very prevalent all over Southern California. And you said right there. I mean, you're kind of on just shaky ground.
So Alan's got a great question. When does it make sense to add an ADU? I know for, ADU, you need a certain lot size, right? Is that what you're typically looking for when you're looking at properties, Eric?
Well, the first ADU, we built it on a 4,000 square foot lot. So I think it depends if the deal supports it, man. That's at the end of the day what I like to say about it. Like, when should you? If the deal supports it and if it supports your plan, right? If Alex is trying to invest in Arizona, like, it's just, why would he build an ADU here? Well, it depends. Does he want his mom and dad to live there? Then okay, cool. But if he doesn't, like, does it support your long-term plan? It's up to you to decide, man. It supports my long-term plan because I'm not planning to move from here. So it supports my plan.
Great point there. And it goes back to your initial point, right? Know your exit strategy, right? So if it supports the exit, if it supports the plan, then yeah, it's going to make sense to add the ADU. So Dante is actually in the early stages of getting plans for a garage conversion. And he's got an architect that's charging him about $10,000 for plans. how would you typically go about paying, those plans? Do you pay some of it up front, some of it in the middle, some of it once you get them approved? Like, how would you go about planning that if you're, doing this on a private home or your first time going about it?
The architect should have a schedule to pay out. If he doesn't, something's up, something's fishy. And the number two, 10K is excessive for that, bro. It's excessive. It's like half of that. So just keep that in mind. If you're doing a garage conversion, you should be around half of that.
So you heard it here first, Dante. Again, make sure that you're checking the timeline, and then make sure that you probably get a couple of quotes, right? Because 10K might be a little bit high for a garage conversion. If it's something that an architect does regularly, that shouldn't be something that takes much time for them, right, Eric? It's just, hey, what does your garage have? What do we need to tweak on the plans? And what are we doing here? So that should be a pretty quick timeline and schedule there. Amari has another good couple of questions here. He's wondering, what would you do to convert an illegal ADU into a legal ADU?
Got it. There's no easy way, man. That's kind of what I said earlier. You have to tear out walls. You have to put in new plumbing, because more than likely they just put the plumbing through your sewer line right into the house sewer line, right? And that doesn't go. You have to take it all the way out to the front and curb it in right to the sewer line, but in the front. And the reason why they do that is because if, let's say, the house backs up and you just connected it straight to the house, the ADU guy's gonna have like shit in his bathroom and shower. So that's the reason why they make sure to take it out to the front. So it's a lot of work. There's really no you could do like a little gimmick and cheat it. Like, you really have to just do it basically new construction.
So Amari and Matt, hopefully that gave you guys a good answer there. Ulysses, again, with another good question. What are the steps for going through the ADU process, with the city? And I know you're here in LA, but what does that look like? Obviously, it's like approval. Kind of break that down for us in the timeline, if you don't mind.
Got it. So you guys, both of you guys are about leverage, and everybody here is about leverage, right? Here's what I know, and I don't worry about my architect. Like, I let him handle that part. So he deals with the city. Once they say, hey, here's what we want, he designs it. Does this look good? Yeah. Okay, cool. I'll let you know once we submit it to the city. Okay, in a few weeks, 2 weeks, he submits it to the city. From there on, I know it goes through planning. I know it goes through building. If they need some engineering work, they send it back. Once it's approved, here's your ready to issue plans. Go pay your permits. Everything in between, I don't worry about. Unless he asks me a specific question of, hey, what do you think of, I don't know, the window size or whatever? Because we have to change it for Title 24, right? Title 24 is like that energy efficiency thing going on right now in California, and it's here to stay. So we have to comply with it. Other than that, I don't worry so much about the city stage. I just worry about, okay, here are the plans, let's build. I don't know if that answers the question, but I just try to leverage that out, man. I'm not really focused on that.
No, like you said, it's hey, this architect, that's their job. They're the professional. I got the deal. I got the property. I know the exit strategy. I'll leave it in their hands. So I think that's a great way to kind of go about answering that one. Another little bit more of a specific question here. This is from Matt, wondering if you can build an ADU while you're using a 203K loan.
That's a good question, dude. I don't have an answer for that. What do you
think? And big thing on that I would say is like check with your loan officer, right? Because they'll usually give you what you can qualify for. Alex and I just were looking.
I highly doubt that. I really do, because it's usually just to repair the property and to build a new structure on a 203K loan. I think that's. I mean, I come from the lending business too, so I'm not just like talking out of my ass. I've done 203K loans before in the past, and I just don't see that happening. I could be wrong though. So do your own due diligence, but I think that's highly, highly unlikely.
There's somebody in the comments saying that they used it for an FHA 203K loan to build an ADU.
Okay. I could be wrong. It might have changed the guidelines, but that sounds like a little bit of a long shot, because how much money you would need for the ADU.
Yep.
Yeah, and I think like Alex said, check with your mortgage loan lender, see who it is that's giving it out, because maybe certain lenders have more appetite for it and are fine with it. Maybe certain ones aren't.
Yeah, true. Good point. And then I had somebody tell me I couldn't get a hard money loan, a second hard money loan on a property that had a lot of equity on it, because I had bought the property subject to, and I was able to get it done. But 4 or 5 people told me no. And then the 5th, 6th person told me yes. So Again, I hope I'm wrong.
That's one thing I wanna just tell everybody here. It's like, keep trying, guys. Like, what's gonna happen anyways if you try and they tell you no? Like when you guys find deals, how many times do you guys get no? So you guys finally get a yes?
30, 40 no's to get a yes.
Huge. Keep going, right? Try another lender, try another like you're gonna find somebody that will do it. So great point there, guys. Quick thing, guys. If you guys are seeing some value from this has been an incredible guest. Hearing from Eric today. If you guys have been loving what you've been hearing, go ahead and let us know in the chat. Give us a yes, give us a thumbs up, give us a 100, give us something just so we know that you guys are seeing some value on this. We're going to keep banging out some more of these questions for you guys here as those start to come in. Edward with another great one. And I know you have 6 active projects that you're working on for clients right now, right? So what is the average length of time for each one of those from start to finish? Are we talking, and obviously it can differ from, if you're doing a junior ADU to an ADU, but, are you saying like 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, a year? What's the timeline?
So there's a few variables. One is a city. Long Beach, Downey, most smaller cities, they have 1-day inspections. You call, you get the inspection right away. If you guys done deals for LA City, because I think they're still like at 4 days inspection. During COVID, they were at 7 days. So what could be a next day inspection, it takes 7 days. So we would start building stuff in advance, and we would call it, we hadn't even built it, we would already call for inspection. Just because in 2 to 3 days we would be done and then inspection would come. So it just depends if the contractor's savvy that's doing that, right? That's one factor. Another factor is the owner themselves. Sometimes, hey, I want to exclude this, and this. I'll bring you the materials, right? You just cover labor. Cool, no problem. And guess what? The owner's in Hawaii just hanging out, and it's like, oh, bro, I forgot to get it for you. So now there's this big lag, wait time. What's happening here? You're gonna bring it. Our sub's waiting for it to install it. He's not there. So that's literally happened to us. So there's a lot of variables that come to it. But if I would say like, hey, if everything was on point, 4 months, 3 to 4 months for an ADU conversion.
Love it. And I know some cities, like Alex said, are speeding up that timeline, right? Because they want to, see that process happen quicker. So
yeah, and I want to say that's where I see the opportunity developing, right? Where you're seeing the extreme demand of housing. You're seeing cities open up and say, hey, we know that this is a potential solution. And then you're seeing more comps happen because more people are doing the play itself. So it's just kind of compounding as a whole. That's why I mentioned earlier to to Eric, I'm like, hey man, let me know you have a specific bid because I want to be involved. I just fucking hate construction. I hate it. Like, it's just not my thing. So I think it would be perfect, that we can work together because I'll handle the money and getting the deal. You handle construction, and then we'll run it up.
Dude, I find it like Tetris, just putting people together, like making sure they work together, they're all happy, and let's roll.
Yeah, now there's going to be a ton of opportunity, guys. Keep your eye out there. I think ADU is, like I said, here to stay, and they're just going to get, just more streamlined. And we want to do some ADU flips and some ADU burrs as well. But it just depends on the area and the property itself and whether the numbers kind of pan out with the way purchase prices are. But rents are continuing to go up.
And I know we have another question coming in here. If you are turning a detached garage into an ADU, like, is there a specific square foot requirement? Can you do that on a 20 by 20 garage, or does it have to be a certain size? And what about from scratch? Like, is there a minimum size or a maximum size that you can do when you're doing ADUs?
I think minimum, I know I don't have it off the top of my head. I think it's around 320 square feet. That's minimum. But you could go depending on the city. So like I said, LA allowed 1,200. You could go 1,200 max, right? Downey will go 1,000. Long Beach will go 1,200. So it just depends on the city of max square footage. But the minimum, I think it's like 320 or something like that. I haven't seen it in a while. But most garages, they're around the 400 range.
Huge. And, another one that I keep seeing in here, is this is coming in from Jessica, is if you have the non-conforming garage ADU, Alex and Eric, do you guys just mind breaking down that process? Like, to get something retroactively permitted, that means the inspector is going to come to your house and pretty much run you through the ringer, right? They're going to say this was done illegally, and they are going to want to see everything that couldn't be done illegally. So you mentioned it earlier with the sewage pipe, right? It needs to be run all the way to the city. What are some other things that they're looking for when they open up those walls, when they, you know, tear open the floor? What are they looking for?
Okay, so you have to put sheer walls up, right? So that's kind of like to like make it a livable place. So sheer walls, like actual wood panels, right?
I mean,
like
my garage door doesn't
plywood,
work.
like plywood.
Yeah,
Now,
you have to
garage
put up
doors don't
actual
work.
walls.
Your foundation, right? So your garage doesn't have a livable foundation. So that's another thing, right? You have to raise that up depending how your architect draws it. Most architects just go 4 inches up. So if that doesn't exist, guess what? You got to redo foundation. So if you had nice flooring, guess what? It has to go out. Guess what? Your toilet has to go out. Guess what? All the walls have to go out to be able to raise that. So it's pretty hard to convert from illegally to legally without having to just run.
Great point. Fantastic point.
And I saw a couple questions come in like that. So I think I appreciate you kind of breaking that down. It's, you know, again, they're going to want to prove everything was done to form, because you nailed this earlier, right? It's the liability. So if the city signs off and says that this is safe to live in, then that now transfers that liability to them. And so they want to make sure that everything in that property is up to code, so that they're willing to take on that liability. So I appreciate you kind of, again, breaking that down for us.
This is absolute gold, guys. I'm learning a lot. So I know you guys better be learning a lot, because Eric is dropping some bombs, man. I love this.
Thank you, bro.
So we got Brady, and we guys will have a couple more questions here and finish these off in the next 10 minutes or so here, and be respectful of everyone's time. But Brady has a great question. And another kind of question echoed by Miguel is, how much does it differ, like a ground up construction? And Alex, maybe you can touch on this. And, you know, Eric, I know you do building as well, versus an ADU, right? So if you were to just say, I want to build a duplex, you know, a separate whole other unit versus an ADU, what is the difference between that?
Go ahead, man.
Well, I mean, they're technically different in the aspect that they're different property type. You're like, okay, I'm building a small multifamily. Then the other one, you're changing an existing structure or adding to an existing structure. But I mean, I really would defer to Eric, because I'm not the construction guy. Like I said, I hate it. I try to delegate as much as I can in that area.
So construction, for us to build it, it's the same thing. So if you have R2 zoning, let's just say you have R2 zoning, you could build a second unit. Do it as a second unit. Don't do it as an ADU, because the appraiser is going to value that way more than they're going to value the ADU. Somebody said it's hard to get the appraiser to actually comp it, right? The play is still evolving. There's still like comps barely coming out, right? So if you could build a second unit legally, if it's R1 zoning, you have to go ADU. But if it's R2, yes, build a duplex, because it's going to cost you the same.
Yeah.
And guys, he made a point there earlier on, and he echoed it again right now. You have to have the comps, right? So I have sometimes wholesalers that'll send me deals and say, hey, you could build an ADU on here, and I'll look at the neighborhood and I'll be like, well, yeah, I could, but nobody else has in the neighborhood. So there isn't really an appetite for an ADU there. Of course, you could build a mansion there, but if nobody is buying mansions in that area, then it really isn't going to do anybody any good. And so knowing that end play, knowing what you're going to do with the property at the end of it, you know, is really, really important. So knowing the zoning and what your end goal is, you know, that's a big part of it, right?
Yep.
Had a couple people in here asking, what's your consultation fee? Like, you know, we always see these signs that say garage conversions, like call for a quote. Like if somebody's looking for business, I know you're, you know, pretty stacked with business right now, but what is an estimate cost, and how are you kind of going about doing that?
Got it. When somebody DMs me, there's a few keywords I look for. So obviously you're going to get the inside. I'm thinking is more than likely they're going to waste my time. Hey, I have equity and I just did a cash out refi. That to me means I'm ready to roll.
I've already taken the necessary steps. I've taken action. Alex, we talk about this, right? There's the difference between bullshitter questions and like, hey, I've taken specific action and I'm ready to rock and roll questions, right?
But you see, he already has these because of the volume and all the, you know, he's been, you know, producing his content. People are engaging with him, and you start to see patterns. I actually kind of want to make a video about this, is that as you start building your business and you start interacting with so many more people, you just start to see patterns, you know, of things. And that's what he's talking about. Like, hey, I see this pattern. People that usually say this are going to waste my time or not really go. It's a very low percentage that they're going to actually move forward in ADU. But people that say this actually do. So the better use of my time. such as when we're looking at opportunities. Well, you know, the price is this, and we're like, it's pretty far off from what we would buy it off, and they don't really have a strong motivation. Well, this was the other, you know, lead comes in and we're like, hey, you know, need to move fast. You know, they're saying all the trigger words or the things that, you know, hey, I would like to have this done in the next couple of weeks, or, you know, I have this specific problem and I need it, you know, it's a real kind of like bleeding neck, as I call it, right? Do they have a bleeding neck? As I heard it recently in the book I'm reading about marketing. If they do not, then most of the time it's going to be a waste of time. So it's fantastic. I want to ask you questions about Thatch and your mentorship under him, though, if you don't mind. So how did that develop? How did that come about? And what's that relationship like? And I mean, if you could just share, what is the top things that you've learned from Thatch? Because I think all of us here that follow him have learned a lot from him.
So Thatch, he's you know what I like about him, dude? He has a great big following, but he's a real dude, you know, like I'm telling you, like in October, I'm gonna go have dinner with his wife and my wife, and we're all gonna just hang out, right? And the thing about him that I really like is that he's not judging you based on what he could get out of you. Because I really can't offer the man anything, dude. Like he's got it all, dude. Like as far as like finances, he's got wealth, he's got connections. But I'm like, dude, why is this guy making sure I succeed? And obviously there's a beneficial win for him because he sells his course more, right? We all know that. But he's just a down to earth dude, and that's what I really like about him, bro. Like, I don't know, I've joined other masterminds. I've paid 30 grand a year. I paid 50 grand a year for other masterminds. And it's just not the level of connection and being with him. Like, hey, I could just text him and, hey, that's this and this, and he'll just boom, be on a call with me. And I know he has 1,000 things to do, but I respect that. Like, I won't call him for any random dumb shit. And I feel like a lot of people, when they find that mentor or somebody that's like in the totem pole higher, they bug them. And then that's the first way to get them to leave. So he's a good dude, man, and just respect his time, and I really appreciate like how he helped me blow up the construction business, and not like actually like, hey, do this, but or telling me like getting me clients, but telling me how to do it online with the marketing.
Yeah, I want to highlight one point what he said about bugging the mentor. I do that a lot with my mentors as well, where I don't bug them. I only bring, like, literally only if I absolutely cannot get the answer, you know, the question answered, I will reach out to them. So I've had that happen to me a bunch where people are like, bro, like, you're not paying me, you're like taking up all my time, and you're trying to call me, text me, like DM me, like, bro, like, you haven't brought me a deal, I mean, how much do you expect me to really help you out for free? Like, you know, and so it's like, people don't understand that sometimes. It's like, only reach out to people if you're either going to pay them for their time, or if you're not, then bug them the least amount possible. But I've also put money in Brandon Turner's pocket by attending his mastermind. So I've earned that right to send him a text, ask a question, you know, like randomly, and he responds usually pretty quickly, because you know, I build value, and then also I only reach out to him when I need him, and then I've also put money in his pocket.
And I think what happens, dude, I think what happens is a lot of people just try to extract value. And it's like, dude, what? And it sounds selfish, but what could you do for me? And then if you come through, like, Will took me to the damn stadium. My wife fell in love with the damn stadium. So now, like, Will's like, hey, bro, can you do this? I'm like, dude, I got you, bro. No problem. What else you need, you know? He took me to the brand new stadium, fucking at the bottom where the grass is at and everything. I'm just like, dude, this is freaking awesome. Like, this is an experience for me. So I don't know, dude. I owe this guy. Like, I feel indebted.
Hey, Will, what's going on, buddy? You got me or what?
Right. No, we were thinking about it. Maybe sometime we'll do like a giveaway or something with some seats. You know, Alex, you, me, and some investors go hang out in row one or something, and you know, talk real estate and talk football at the same time. We'll see what we can do.
Yeah, this has been awesome, guys. This has been awesome. So we've got the whole tribe now. Anybody any questions? Any comments? This has been an amazing webinar. What's up, you guys?
I did have one more question. It's actually a pretty fire question from you know, one of our big tribe members, Gerardo Limon, coming through here. Alex was actually on his podcast a couple weeks ago. If you guys didn't catch it, highly recommend watching it. But this is a great question. Eric, have you ever done a garage conversion and then converted it to a JADU, a junior ADU, after the garage final inspection? And I think that's, you know, an ADU play right there, right? You know, where people are using that ADU for maybe like an Airbnb, and so they want it to kind of have that separate entrance. So have you ever done that? And if so, what's the process like?
Never done it, bro. To be honest, never done it. Like
Never done it. Yeah, I think that's like an Airbnb specific kind of play there. I've seen some other folks do that. But guys, if anybody has any questions, now's the time. We got about 5 minutes left here on the call, and Mr. ADU himself here. We appreciate your time and jumping on here and answering all these questions. This was legit.
Before somebody gives me a question, dude, I would say the biggest thing, guys, is just meet people, get on social media, because I know Alex has benefited from that a lot. I could tell you guys, like, I've benefited thousands of dollars from it. It just makes
300,000 on that Downey deal.
Yes, sir. So,
Mr. TikTok, Mr. ADU TikTok. Oh man, I gotta get my TikTok game way up, man. Damn, I need that 300 G's.
And guys, I mean, it's true. Like, there's people in this group right now, in this webinar, that have made thousands of dollars through social media. They found this webinar. They found out, hey, these are actual people doing actual deals. I have an actual deal. I don't know how to take it down, and these guys are going to help me do it. And I mean, we have partners in this call that are making thousands of dollars from doing that. So make sure, like Eric said, get active on social media, find other people that can, fit your deficiencies and that you can help grow, and take that action. And that's the best way to make things happen, right?
Yes, sir.
So guys, again, if you don't mind, give us a big thumbs up and a hell yes if you guys got a lot of value out of this today. Super appreciative of your time, Eric. This was legit. I know ADUs are a topic that come up all the time in real estate investing. And
you have a Facebook group, Eric?
I don't. I'll be part
of it. You need to. I'm telling you live right now on air, you need to have your own private Facebook group. You need to be sharing all this value on that as well, because it's hard to do that on Instagram, hard to do that on so it's just a different platform. And our tribe is, we got like 400 people now, but I think you should do that.
Cool, brother. Thank you.
Hey, who here in the group is going to join the ADU guy private Facebook group? Yes, I know, sir. I am right here. Let's go. You got your first 25.
Right. Got it.
Let's go, bro. So I love it, man. We appreciate your time. Guys, we'll do this every Wednesday at 3 p.m. We'll catch you guys on the flip side next week. Again, I appreciate your time, Eric. This was absolutely legendary.
Thank you, man.
Thank you, Eric. Appreciate you, man. I'll see you in LA when I get to LA sometime in the next couple weeks, all right?
Thank you, brother.
All right.
See you soon.